Officer Jeremiah Leland is still heading toward the first incident.
While I was en route to the stabbing, they dispatched that there was a fight in the area, and I knew it was just about a block and a half, 2 blocks away. And the dispatcher said something like it could be related.
Witnesses record the fight on their cell phones.
This really has a knife, bro. He really out here trying to... Oh, shit.
When you're dealing with a subject who has a knife, it's a lethal situation. Knives are just as deadly as guns.
A bus station surveillance camera captures the moment Officer Leland pulls up at the scene.
When I arrived, I saw a man coming at another man with a knife. He was aggressive. I knew that what he had was capable of killing somebody, of ending someone's life. I need to stop him.
Code 3, shots fired, code 3.
I called code 3, shots fired. That's the first time I've ever called code 3.
Code 3 is an emergency call for other officers to respond with lights and sirens.
Put your hands up!
And I knew he had made a choice. He had decided he was going to come after me, and the only thing I could do was stop him. And I knew that if I didn't stop him after he attacked me with the knife, then immediately everybody around was next.
Seconds after Officer Leland shoots the knife-wielding suspect, Officer Mike Shannon arrives on the scene.
As I was getting out of the car, I heard Officer Leland yelling, and I heard shots fired. And as I came around the corner, I could see Officer Leland standing there with his sidearm up, and there was a suspect on the ground.
Get behind her and get him in top. Okay.
Suspect.
The suspect is identified as 28-year-old Manuel Gonzalez, who less than 20 minutes earlier had slashed another man across the neck, nearly killing him. The victim made a full recovery, but Gonzalez is pronounced dead at the scene.
I've never had to discharge my weapon at another human being before. I remember there being a mix of emotions when I learned that he had died. Was there something else I could have done?
Whenever an officer is involved in a shooting, the relevant authorities have to investigate exactly what happened.
Everything switches around. Suddenly, you're not supposed to talk to anyone, and you need an attorney, and they take away your weapons, and you're treated like a suspect. And it was so unreal to be placed in the patrol car, kind of be on the other side of the coin. You've taken someone's life, and all these steps come into place to make sure that you were justified in what you did, that you're allowed to do what you did, that there was no malice, that you weren't trying to hurt somebody.
We know the process. He's going to be taken to a different room, and each piece of his uniform is going to be removed and set aside as evidence.
As a suspect, Officer Jeremiah Leland is restricted from having contact with his fellow officers.
We were concerned. We were concerned about his well-being at that point and, how this was going to affect him. We know he's got a wife and children, and I'm sure he was thinking about them and thinking about what had happened, and it had to have been overwhelming for him.
The impact of the investigation is felt around the department.
He's like a brother at that point. I would trust him with my life, he'd trust me with his.
I remember how uncomfortable it was to suddenly be put in a place where you're wondering, I know I did the right thing, but is everyone gonna understand what I did and why I did it?
Officer Leland's actions that day were found to be justified. He's cleared and goes back to patrolling the streets.
I remember wrestling in my mind, in my faith, what it meant to take someone's life. And it's just a part of you now, and you have to learn how to live with it.